In a world of 2020s, be a 2021. This is the way of the dork. Welcome, everybody, to episode 76 of the Four Dorksmen podcast. I'm Nate, aka Angry Nate.
I'm the tall one.
I am in the middle, and also known as Collector Clint.
And I'm going to make it weird and just say this is Asian Tony Stark.
Why is that weird? That's like
You actually made it weird by saying you were going to make it weird.
That's how I made it weird.
It's like weirdception right there.
Yeah,
Weird science.
Took it to level 3 of weirdness. Thank you, Ryan.
Tier 3.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us this week. I want to quickly wish you all a very happy new year as we're now into 2021. You've survived 2020.
Congrats.
We're very thankful. Congratulations. You did it.
You did do it.
Thing.
You did a thing.
You did a thing. We're very thankful for you guys being here, supporting us over the last year, and we look forward to your continued support this upcoming year. Really quickly, some housekeeping things. Make sure you're following us on Twitter and Instagram at @the_dorksman. You can always email us at dorksman@gmail.com. I'm going to update the robot emailer because I think it's time. It's been a while. So I'll update that. Make sure if you like to play podcast bingo, you can play along at dorksmanbingo.com. And as always, shout out to Andrew from the Torby Wine podcast for building that amazing podcast bingo card for us. And as always, Larry from the STS guys and the Totally Random Movie Pod for giving us the redirect link. So it's nice and easy. So that's at dorksmanbingo.com. And my favorite part of the show is the Ask the Dorksman. So make sure you're asking us questions. Clint constantly barrages the Twitter, getting people to interact with us and ask us questions. The list keeps growing. We want that list to keep growing.
That's right.
Because it's like we love getting those questions.
We like themes. So yeah, keep them coming.
Themes.
All right,
Anyways, first question today comes from Kelly, AOK20, our good friend Kelly. Her question is, are we taking bets on the first con, non-virtual, that will take place after this madness?
I'm not a betting man anymore.
I was about to say, I was like, are you sure?
I lie. I'm a betting man. I would think it would probably be San Diego. I would be surprised only if the first one is after San Diego. I think that's the biggest thing I would be surprised about. I think they're going to do everything that they could possibly can after losing out on that revenue and everything else last year to make San Diego happen. I mean, it is the crown jewel of cons, and I think they'll do whatever they can, even if it's reduced numbers. I know they came out recently and said that whatever tickets were rolled over were the only ones that they were going to honor. Badges, so they weren't going to be set. Because I personally reached out because I've got a pro badge, and so I'm entitled to purchase 2 passes to go along with mine. I did not opt into that for 2019 because it's going to be for 2020 because everything was so up in the air. So after they kind of announced everything was done, and then they were going to, do badges for 2021. I emailed them back. I said, hey, do I have an option still to buy those other 2 passes that y'all had allocated towards my account? And they said, as of right now, no.
Right.
So I'm thinking that's probably what they're going with right now is let's try to keep the numbers down from what it normally is. And maybe that's an option. I could see them trying all kinds of different stuff to try to make that happen, whether that's, moving some of the stuff to other hotels to try to make the numbers work, because there's a ton of hotels, obviously, for those of you that have been, y'all know that, there's that whole ring, around the convention center of hotels that a few of them are used for things, but not all of them, that they could, possibly move some, panels and some other things too to try to make the numbers match. I would be surprised if some big one happened before then. Like, I don't think WonderCon will happen. I don't think what would normally be. We know ECCC is not happening, right? They've already announced they're going to move that.
It's happening December.
December, right? So I don't think they would try to push for WonderCon, especially since it's in California. E3 would be before that, typically. Isn't that right, Nate?
Yeah,
Yeah,
E3
yeah.
is August, June.
And I think they're perfectly fine with being virtual from here on out,
Mhm.
especially with every kind of console kind of having their own big to-do.
Right.
Wait, am I missing something else big that usually takes place before San Diego?
No.
I think that's pretty much it as far as big ones. So that's why I'm betting it's going to be San Diego. Just because the only other big one that we don't know about is WonderCon, and it's the same people, CCI, and
Mhm.
I don't know. I think if they're going to put their resources into trying to get one together and manpower and logistics and all the other stuff that goes into planning it and possibly not being able to pay as many people that help with that kind of stuff behind the scenes, I'm thinking they shift all their resources towards San Diego and probably just either postpone WonderCon until later in the year or just hold off to 2022 getting back for their Anaheim one.
Interesting. Well, I actually disagree with you. I don't think it's going to be in time for San Diego.
Now, what kind of podcast is that going to be if you don't agree with everything I have to say? Clint?
Right. Well, Joey, I know it'd be the Joey podcast, and God knows we can't have that. So
That's right. The Jokecast.
The Jokecast.
the Jokist. Anyway,
Take a kiss.
let me talk. But
No.
I don't think it'll be that early. I mentioned this in the pre-party. By the way, I hope I'm wrong. I would be. Yeah, and if you guys want to rub my face, I'd be okay with that. I'd rub my face with you. I'd love it for it to actually be San Diego. I just don't think the vaccine is going to be enough by then. Again, I hope I'm wrong, but I think they'll have ideas. I think they'll have protocols, and I think there'll be everything to go. To be honest, I think they'll just roll everybody over to 2022 for tickets, just because it'll be the exact same situation. So I don't think it'll be San Diego. I honestly don't think it'll be New York, even though I think New York has a pretty good possibility by then. I don't think people are going to want to do New York partially because it's New York. It's already a place known for pizza rats and pigeons and a lot of other stuff that I don't think people would be comfortable having a mass gathering the way they do it. Again, I'm okay being wrong if I'm wrong, but I think the first one we see is in December, and that's Emerald City Comic-Con. I think by then everything will be as worked out as it can be in the sense of people vaccinated or taking precautions, and the venue figuring out exactly how they want to handle it.
So you mentioned the vaccination.
Yeah.
So what do you think the chances are San Diego opening it up for only people that can show proof of vaccination?
That's a logistical nightmare.
I
It
think
is,
that would
but-
be too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the only reason I don't think it's a bad idea, but first of all, I don't think all of us have been to San Diego. We know when you walk in with your badge, they look and see if you have a badge. They don't see whose name on it. They don't see, how you got it. They don't care.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they hire the personnel to actually look at the vaccination forms, especially considering from what I've seen, they're pretty generic forms that could easily be copied. You know what I mean?
So you just mentioned that they don't care, which brings me to
Right.
my next point. Are they going to care whether it's a forgery or another person as long as their, culpability
They
is
got
off of
paid.
them,
Yeah.
right? They're saying,
But-
hey, we did our due diligence. We required this. We can't be, expected in a lawsuit to, take care of Joe Blow's, fake
Right.
COVID form,
Agreed.
vaccination form.
Agreed.
It's devil's
No,
advocate, right?
agreed.
I'm just saying, what are these people going to try to do to try to,
And they
get
will
that
though, and
revenue
they know
in.
they will. And I think that's when they're just because let's face it, we've seen court cases that are insane. I know we're getting really logistical here, but the fact that somebody spilled McDonald's coffee on themselves and sued McDonald's and won scares the shit out of everybody personally who could get sued because stupid shit like that can happen. And let's face it, even if you signed a form, even if you've written in the consent when you purchased your ticket or they released a new one saying I've gotten the vaccine and I am okay, they can still get sued by other people that were, even though the one person didn't. Ryan said it could just be a logistical nightmare and be insane. So I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see it happening or being something they're willing to take on. Now with that said, that doesn't mean there won't be a lot of virtual stuff or they want to improve that experience from last year, but I just don't think they can have an in-person con, especially considering everybody's chomping at the bit to get there. So even if they had the con, people that don't have con tickets and don't plan on going to the con, because we all know there's enough offsites to keep you entertained for 4 days. Those people aren't getting tested. Those people could get sick. You see how it goes from there.
Yep. I'm
So
with
that
I'm with Clint here. You think about the fact it's not only CCI involved in this, but it's the city and county of San Diego, their government locally within that city, state of California. I mean, people have their opinions about Gavin Newsom. I'm gonna leave that out of this here.
good.
But I mean, really, to Clint's point, CCI aside, San Diego themselves as a city can't control a lot of this stuff, and there's a possibility
Mhm.
for numerous lawsuits, not to mention people possibly getting sick and dying. And nobody
Right.
wants that. I wouldn't want that burden hanging on me. As much as I'd love to go to San Diego this year because I do miss everybody. I miss seeing you guys, being able to
Likewise.
share a meal in person, maybe having a beer, less Joey since Joey doesn't partake in alcohol. It'd
Root
be
beer's
great.
delicious.
You know, it'd be great. But we need to do the safer thing. And Mindy brought this up on the pre-party. Realistically, we would need about 80% of the population in the United States, let alone anybody that's coming in internationally. That is a side subject here, to
Mhm.
have been vaccinated in order for us to be quote unquote okay.
Herd immunity is at 70% is what you need for that.
I don't see that happening because we're already now in the first few days of January. Of course, we're projecting what is it, like 100 million vaccinations within the first 100 days. I'm not trying to make this political. I'm just stating what's been said
No,
in
no,
the
no.
media,
Right.
right?
I don't
Something
think
to
you're going
that
to get
extent.
there right away either, because you have
Right.
the first line of people, healthcare workers that
Mm-hmm.
are eligible for it, that are turning it down.
Mhm.
So
Which is
when you talk about people that are, you know, the first ones to have a chance of getting it, that are saying, I'm going to pass for now.
It's
That
not a lot
does
of confidence for
not.
the regular
right.
folks that
Well,
Right.
that part too, that are like, well, my doctor didn't get it, so I'm not getting it.
Mhm.
But also B, it hurts you trying to get to that 70% herd immunity
Mhm.
number if you've got people that are eligible for it that are turning it down. Now, what my father-in-law's doctor told him was that he's going to put him on a list because, like, you know, they only have like a very short shelf life,
Right.
especially depending on the vaccine, but some of them have to be kept at a ridiculously low temperature
Mhm.
to be kept viable. So I think the plan is, oh, okay, we offered them to you, you don't have them, now we're going to move on to this next group. So hopefully we don't have like a whole batch of them that go to waste because people are turning them down.
Right.
But still, once you have gone through every group and you say, okay, they've been offered everybody that wants them and only 50% of the population is accepted them, then you've got another problem on your hand.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And yeah, it's and that's assuming we have enough for it anyway. I know that we've passed as a country on a shipment, or a good number of them that are now going to arrive later, like June, is what I've heard. So yeah, it's just going to be tough to do San Diego. My first, I hope I would be okay being wrong. If I'm wrong and somebody wants to rub it in my face, please do. I will not stop you. But I'm thinking ECC in December is going to be our first chance to get together as a crew.
Yeah, I agree because you think about just the prep time as well, right? Trying to plan the con within realistically six months and a few weeks, I just don't foresee that being possible from the planning standpoint, let alone everything else that's going on around the world that CCI and San Diego as a county cannot control.
Right.
I'd love to be wrong. I'm with Clint there, 100%. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to be in San Diego in July. I'd love to see everybody. I just don't see it realistically happening.
I'm curious if they've set them. I'm sure they have. So I guess I should say I'm curious what their deadline is, their internal deadline of, okay, we've got to make a
Mhm.
decision by February 15th or whatever that arbitrary date is.
Well. First of all, I think it depends on both the city, the state, and I think it depends on their insurance, because I think they're the ones who are going to be calling the shots here more than anybody.
Yeah.
I will say that Denver Pop Culture Con, which usually happens a few weeks before San Diego, has already been canceled for the year. It's like they didn't even mess with that. They're like, nope, fuck it. We want nothing to, because they don't want to deal with it. And I don't blame them. They don't want to deal with people getting sick. They don't want to deal with the lawsuits. They don't want to deal with the blame. They don't want to build with bad publicity. And they just, it's better safe than sorry is definitely a good approach here. I know it's financial. I know the economy. I get all that. But, you can't have people, you can't have an economy without people buying. And if people are dead, you can't have them buy stuff. You know
Well,
what
that
I
and
mean?
then the crapshoot also is that you're going to put up all this money to even plan the con and all your
Mhm.
upfront costs. And if it goes to shit, you're likely to lose a lot of that anyway. So
Mhm.
Right.
if I were the one at that executive level, I would be like, no, this is not a good business decision. We're gonna potentially hemorrhage a lot of money. Let's just do the safer thing and plan for the next one. Nate, you've
feel
been
like-
oddly quiet, so chime in.
They've got one shot to get this right,
hmm
right? Like
One opportunity.
Yeah, yes, they're not right.
He's weak.
Mom spaghetti.
But like they literally, any con that decides that it's going to be the first one out the gate is going to be scrutinized beyond anything that they've ever been looked at under a microscope, right? Which is kind of crazy. So as much as I agree with Joey that I really want to see us in San Diego this year, I truly don't believe in 6 or 7 months, like with just the logistics around it would be just insane. And I feel like even a year leading into it, like I feel like if Emerald City, if they haven't already started planning and like doing the precautionary stuff, like December is still even like they've got the best shot at it right now. I think to do it safely. But yeah, I think I want to be wrong, but I do agree with Clint. I think it's gonna be December is gonna be the earliest that we're gonna safely be able to do it. And there's a like Joey said, there's a lot of moving parts with with the vaccine, because if people aren't getting vaccinated, it doesn't matter, right? Like if herd immunity doesn't hit that number, we're all still kind of screwed, because people are still going to die because people aren't taking the vaccine, and people are still going to get sick. And the healthcare system is going to be overrun still because people aren't taking the vaccine. So yeah, there's just a lot to it. I do want to be wrong. I really hope that we can get back to something by this year at some point. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was nothing this year in a large capacity like that. Like I'm curious about, because like I see, like you see how like some NFL stadiums, they have like 6,000-7,000 people
Right.
gathering, and like there's outbreaks after games like all the time,
Right.
like people are getting sick after these games and stuff. So even
what
for
do you-
something like that where they're spread apart, I can't even imagine having 2,000 or 3,000 people together, you know.
What do you think the likelihood is, instead of them taking a wash on it again for another fiscal year? What do you think the likelihood is that instead of just outright canceling it, they try to push it, kind of like what ECC did? What do you think the likelihood is they push it to October, November, December, or you really, really believe that they just say, okay, we're just going to wash our hands of it for 2 years in a row, and we'll just do July 2022 as the next one?
I'm gonna go with the latter. To be honest,
Yeah,
sorry,
I
Clint.
am too.
Yeah.
Nope. You go ahead.
I'm gonna go with the latter, just on the sole fact that they are the largest con. There's a lot of, like I said earlier, there's a lot of prep work. There's a lot of logistics that goes behind it. Not to
Right.
mention that the convention center is used for many other things. It's not like, even though it shares the same SDCC, San Diego Convention Center, and San Diego Comic Con, it's not like that's the only thing that goes on there. There could very well be something that's, dare I say, more important to the city of San Diego than San Diego Comic Con happening
It's hard to
already in
imagine what.
October, right?
Right.
Well,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that it's used as a hospital. Is it still being used as a hospital?
I don't know. It is one of the
I mean, I know
largest
at one
money
point-
makers for the city. I think it's
Right.
second after the zoo only. But you figure that's like the one point in the year that they really bank that much money. So yeah, it's like a fine teeter-totter back and forth about whether or not it is good. I just think I play back on the safe card. It's the safer thing for everybody,
right.
the whole round on the table.
So here's the other issue. I mean, and this would hurt a lot of more than just them, is if they moved it, where are they gonna move it to? I mean, in theory, at New York Comic Con still October. Emerald City is December. Are they gonna move it to November? Are they gonna move it to September? Is that late enough? And I this is just hearsay questions. I don't know the
Right.
answer to this. So the question is, where would they put it? Because then if they do that, people have to choose between them. And they're gonna both cons are gonna lose attendees, lose money, etc. So the question is it worth doing that for them, or is it worth questioning doing it for the others? And I don't know. So I mean, I do think that, you know, they know this time. Like, I know when we entered this COVID thing at the beginning of 2020, everyone thought it was going to last 3 weeks. Or everyone thought it was going to be over.
Everything was going to be the flu and it'd be done. And
right.
and
that they know better this time.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping
just just move it to Vegas. Everyone's doing what they want there anyways.
Let the STDs fight it out
Yeah.
with the alcohol that fights it out with the coke. It'll all just equal. It'll be force
It's a
Three
wash.
Stooges syndrome.
It's an
But-
actual wash.
Right, but it'll be I think they'll do they'll do something. They'll definitely have a better online presence this year and
Right.
everything. They know that people are going to be tuning in, at least to the panels. They're going to be tuning in. There's going to be better chances to buy merchandise. I mean, for all I know, they might even have offsites going on in the city. They might have actual things that are limited, because you mentioned football games have outbreaks of a couple thousand people, but the zoos are open right now, or there's other events that are open right now that people are safely doing things, and they do have time to at least think about it. Like maybe they have pods or something. I don't know what the answer is, but
just think about this, for example. Like, I mean, we're going really long on this question, which is great because I love this discussion. But
right,
if you think about my wife and I, because we're in our own bubble, we've stayed at a hotel nearby. We've taken Banner there a couple times just to get away from the house. And we follow protocol. There's like, you wear masks when you're inside any public space, elevators, or you take elevators only with your bubble. So people are lining up to take the elevator, which is fine. Now you imagine a space like San Diego Comic-Con, like at the convention center. Let's say you have to physically distant. The buses are generally full. If you have to sit a row apart, that's double the number of buses. You're waiting to get in the escalator. You need to give people 6 feet distance. Can you imagine the lines?
I don't think you can make that happen with the physical distancing part. I think
Right?
I think as far as protocols, you obviously say, masks are still in effect. Please wash your hands. There's thousands of hand sanitizer stations everywhere. But I don't think if it happens, because I'm in the majority right here. It's gonna be the minority. Y'all are the majority saying it won't. So I'm saying if it happens, if I'm right, I don't think you can do the 6 foot thing.
I don't think you can either.
Or at least you can't enforce it. Like you'll say, please maintain your distance. But I don't think it'll be strictly enforced because I don't think you can accommodate, like you said, the numbers and all those situations, whether it's getting on an elevator or it's getting on a bus or it's at a restaurant. I mean, you've all been there and tried to go eat, I'm assuming in the gas lamp. You'll spend 3 hours sometimes trying to find a place that's actually got an open table. And that's with all the tables available. We're talking about moving into half, them available. I don't know.
No, you're right. Good point.
You'd have to draw that back as a social distancing requirement. I think you would have to do away with the 6 foot thing, or it just wouldn't work.
Let me put it to you like this. I drop my daughter off at daycare, and they have actual 6 feet measurements there in line for like 4 people in line. People can't follow that shit. 4 people.
Oh yeah,
stand on a goddamn X, and they can't do it.
Nope.
So I don't know how they would do it this mass. Now maybe, and even if they did like your assigned time to come to the Fugitive booth is 6:20 p.m. That's not going to work because people will be late. People run long, whatever the case is.
Right.
So,
or someone just doesn't know that you need a time slot. Like, because some people they don't know. They're just wandering around the con, and and that's fine. You're discovering things as you go. But if you're adding a lot of safety measures, but I feel like those safety measures become, again, as we talked about, it just becomes a legality issue where now CCI is saying, I did my part. We had a massive outbreak. We tried.
Right. And the booth people, first of all, the people who are in the booths and the vendors going to want to show up. And secondly, would they have to harness the burden? Because then it becomes, I got COVID. Well, where'd you get it? I got it at the Fugitive booth. Oh, we're clear. Well, Fugitive didn't, and then the whole, I'm pointing eyes here.
Pointing fingers.
Joey, by the way, Joey, by the way, I really want this to happen. I want you to come to us when it opens and laugh at us hysterically. I want a whole episode of you telling us we're wrong and that
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, a whole episode can just be you telling
Joey
us.
episode of just telling us.
I would be okay with that.
I would be okay with that too.
You're muted, dude.
Joey, you're muted.
Oh, it could be a combination of virtual and in person.
Absolutely.
So you could have, and look, for the vendors, that might be a godsend. So you have a booth there, you have somebody there with maybe a setup of 3 or 4 iPads, but you don't have any physical stock. You're just there ordering stuff, paying for stuff. Yeah. So it's all contactless. That would also mean that you could possibly take up less room. You may have some people that typically would go with physical stuff that may just put their stuff online and don't actually pay for the booth space.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I think there's a way to cut down on the numbers of people that are there, but I'm not trying to throw out what y'all are saying at all. I totally understand what y'all are saying as well, but it'll be interesting how things play out, because I would
Right.
think by the end of first quarter 2021, they'll have to have a decision made.
Yes,
so
I
I'm
would
thinking
agree.
by the end of March, we know one
We'll
way or the
know,
other
yeah.
whether it's happening,
Agreed.
I would
and if
hope
it is
so,
happening,
yeah.
how it's happening.
Right. Yeah. Again, I'd be okay being wrong. And this is the thing: we're doing this for free. There's people that are paid to do this and know a lot more than we do and have a lot more
Mhm.
information and access to resources. So
Yeah.
hopefully they're making the right decisions for the people.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. I'm sick of being in my house. I
Yeah.
want to go somewhere. I want to do something. I want to see people,
Same.
but I'd rather be safe than sorry myself. But I think they will too. But again,
That's true.
if they're wrong, if I'm wrong, please rub it in my fucking face. Don't
Oh,
stop.
I'll rub it all
Good.
He's
over you.
gonna
Do
do
it
it.
for a year. When we get to episode, well, you know what? If we do that, episode 99 can just be you laughing at us until 800.
That'd be
just
great.
do that. So anyway,
That'd be wonderful.
but I mean, that's a fantastic question. Thank you, Kelly. And we could go on, I'm sure, but
We could go on.
Apparently,
a
that's our whole
episode.
episode. Thank you,
Right,
everybody,
yeah.
for tuning
you
in.
know what? No, that would actually be a legit episode. It's a big pop culture thing that we all
Yeah.
are affected by that affects a lot more going on, because it's also going to affect, like promotions for movies. Then when we start getting those again, or promotions for new products, or
Yeah.
even, Artist Alley. Like I'd like them to be able to do some kind of
Mhm.
virtual Artist Alley, or like Joey said, even something in person. Like, that there are options. They could do something. It doesn't have to be the San Diego Comic-Con, but it could be
Mhm.
Artist Alley, and that's the whole con floor, so it's nice and spread out and people can do still Artist Alleys. I don't know, I'm spitballing here, but
That's
you
the
get
one
my-
thing I miss a lot. Is,
Right.
artist alley. I love just browsing artist stuff, sitting, chatting with them a little bit. That's one of my favorite things about ECCC, because their artist alley, I think, is the best one.
that's
out
what
of
I've
all the
heard, yeah.
cons that I've been to. And it's just they love it. Like the artists love it. They love interacting with their fans. They love doing that. But yeah, again, just space and logistics is just,
That's
we'll
it.
have to wait and see.
And people are
I think-
assholes. That's the thing.
It's true. Yeah, that too. I think it'd be a really good episode for us to do once we learn more
Yeah.
about what's gonna happen, right? So
I
we'll
was gonna
stay
suggest
tuned
that.
for that. Yeah,
Excellent.
pencil it in. Pencil it in.
We'll pen it in even.
Sharpie it
Kelly.
in.
That's right. That's right. I'll write it in blood. Anyway,
We'll get Kelly on for that episode. How about we do that?
yeah.
Let's do it.
All right.
All right.
Thank you,
Next
Kelly.
question.
25
Finally.
minutes later.
25
Hey,
minutes.
it was a
It's a good
if that shit
discussion.
happens,
It's
it's a good thing.
discussion.
Yeah, I'm not upset about it.
Yeah. Our second question this week comes from Sean, El Loco Gaijin.
Hey.
His question, nice and simple: Coke or Pepsi?
We needed a short one after that long one.
Yeah.
I've got a better one for you. New Coke or Crystal Pepsi?
Ooh.
I
You're
think
twisting
we
the
have to answer
question.
both now, but I think that's
Yeah.
a fair question.
I'm 100% Camp Coke. I don't ever have a craving for a Pepsi, but every now and then I'll get a crave. I'm not a big soft drinker. Like I mainly drink water. I'll have like a sports drink every now and then. I'll have a sweet tea. Like if I go to a restaurant, I might get a sweet tea or an Arnold Palmer or something like that. I do drink Sprite Zeros fairly regularly, maybe one of those a day. But I get a craving every now and then for a cola, and it's always Coke. I'm never like, ooh, I need to go get a Pepsi. It might be a Dr. Pepper, but it's never a Pepsi ever.
Mm.
You sound very southern right now.
Did I say soft drink? I don't even know. If
Oh
I
no
did or not.
I was just saying because of your Coke affinity. I know. And I'm
Oh,
totally
yeah.
kidding. Yeah, no. So you'd be New Coke over Crystal Pepsi.
No, I'd be Crystal Pepsi over New
You would
Coke.
be Crystal Pepsi. Okay, just making sure I understand. I can't remember having a New Coke. That's the problem. I know they released it again, but I haven't actually ever had it that I can recall.
At one point, Pepsi tried doing something, and it may have only been a Southern thing for a while, because it never took off and they didn't keep it. But they were doing, it was like a marketing push where it was Pepsi made with cane sugar.
Yeah.
And that was actually pretty good, because it really changed the overall taste and actually made it taste closer to Coke. But I did drink some of those when they were available, just like I drank the Crystal Pepsi when it was available.
Right. So I'll give my answer. First of all, I don't drink a lot of soft drinks as it is, or pop, I guess it's called over here, soda, whatever you want to call it. I know historically, the reason that forever, and they don't do this anymore, but when we were at least younger, they always said Pepsi won the taste test. Pepsi won the taste test, the blind taste test. They really pushed that. That was because Pepsi is actually sweeter in flavor by design. So I know that. Now, for some reason, I think originally I would have gone with Pepsi just because Coke commercials for the longest time drove me insane. And they still kind of do, but not to the extent they did. But the other thing is that it's the Coca-Cola that can be used to clean your toilet. I think that was a big turnoff. I heard that, even though Pepsi, I'm sure, can do the same thing. So it's not a really stupid idea. But I out of the two, I'd go Pepsi. Out of my sweet tooth, I'm guessing, but I don't drink enough to really have an opinion. Though I do like Coke. I'm not one of those people that if I order one at a restaurant, they're like, "Is Coke okay?" No, fuck you. I need something else. I'd be on the. But as for Crystal, and I'd go Crystal Pepsi. I mean, 1992, we were middle school. That stuff was the bomb. I don't know why, it just was.
It's mysterious.
Speaking of the restaurants, I'm okay with if I order Coke and they only have Pepsi, that's fine. But if I order Sprite and they try to give me with the dadgum Sierra Mist, I'm like, no.
I would agree with you.
It's a clear beverage. That's about the only thing it has in common with now 7-Up. But you don't see 7-Up hardly anymore.
Well, that's because 7-Up's an individual distributor, and it's in Coke or Pepsi, and those are the big ones that get into the restaurants and everything else.
Gotcha.
But yes, I'm with you.
I thought 7-Up was Coke.
No, 7-Up, and there's somebody else. Yeah, it might even be Dr. Pepper. Or
Dr. Pepper's like that. It's its own thing.
Oh, like RC Cola is another one. Not that anybody drinks RC Cola, but those are their like own independent distribute, and that's why you don't see them in the everywhere because they don't have the grass that Pepsi and Coke do.
The Dr. Pepper will, though, because I want to say, I'd have to research this. I'd have to Google it. But I want to say Dr. Pepper's got some deal with Coke and Pepsi. I don't know. I remember looking it up a long time ago because the discussion came up amongst some friends. And I think that's why, like, if you go to Taco Bell, for instance, they're typically Pepsi product. But you can get Dr. Pepper there. Whereas if I go to McDonald's, they're typically Coke products, but I can also get Dr. Pepper there. So there's some deal with the Dr. Pepper thing. They've got it made, in other words.
And guys, I apologize for the bell. Ava has moved it, and I don't know where.
Oh, man.
Sure, blame it on it.
Sure.
She likes to take it and say dinner's ready with it, even though it's like.
Oh, that's awesome.
So,
chow time.
Anyway, I will tell you guys real quick while I'm thinking about it. Did you guys ever see the SNL commercial for Crystal Gravy?
No.
No, it was of course like Crystal Pepsi, but it was gravy. It was just see-through, and there's people eating. It looks like they're eating fucking like aloe vera or something. It's disgusting looking, but
that seems
it's
terrible.
So funny. If you ever get a chance, Google that and watch it. It's pretty funny. Of course, it has the Right Now song by Van Halen in it, just like the old Pepsi, Clear Pepsi commercials did. So, Crystal Pepsi, excuse me. So anyway, watch that if you get a chance. Anyway, I'm done talking. Ryan, it's your turn.
I think you missed on something for Pepsi, Clint, when you should have said Garth. Hello?
Oh.
I was waiting for that to come out.
You're right. It's the taste of a new generation. You're absolutely right.
Yes. Missed opportunity there for me.
Maybe that's what it is subconsciously then, because I really don't have a great answer for either one.
That's probably what it is, your affinity for Wayne's World. I'll keep it short and simple. Coke. I'll drink Pepsi if it's there, but I'd much rather have Coke because it tastes better to me. Contrary to popular belief with Pepsi being sweeter, I just like the taste of Coke better. But
they definitely have definitely distinct tastes, though. I always wondered in the taste test when people would I don't know which one's which. I'm like, how?
Yeah, they're very distinct tastes.
Yeah, they're not similar.
But I will say Crystal Pepsi as well, because it takes me back to that nostalgic time when I was 10 years old, being able to drink it, defying my mom, her telling me not to drink soda. I was like, I'm going to drink this anyway.
That's true.
Yeah. Nate?
That's the way it goes. For me, it's always been Coke. I think it's something about the way, because growing up, I didn't have a lot of pop in the house. So whenever we went to eat at restaurants, I would get it. But when we go have Chinese food at restaurants and stuff, I feel like the Coke cuts the MSG better. If for whatever reason, after you have something salty, I find having a sip of Coke is so much more refreshing, and it's it just, I don't know, it's a different feeling, it's a different taste, and that's what I've always liked. But yeah, Pepsi just, I find it a little bit too sweet. Definitely is a little bit I mean, I'll drink it if it's there, but I would absolutely prefer Coke. And like same as you guys, the nostalgia value of Crystal Pepsi is just ridiculous, and it's still doesn't make sense. I don't understand why it was Crystal Pepsi, why it was a thing, but I love it, and I will drink it.
You know, it's weird you bring up the salty thing, because I don't know if it's a thing like in y'all's regional areas, because I know how different we can be when it comes to food and drinks. But peanuts and Pepsi is a big thing in the South. I don't know if it is over there or not, but it's exactly what it sounds like. You get some peanuts and you put them in your bottle of Pepsi and you drink it, and then you eat the peanut. So it was weird when you mentioned that. I was like, I wonder if that's why they do it, because it, counterbalances each other or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, it's a pretty big thing.
Well, it's funny. I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I'm thinking that and I'm like, I'd rather have a Coke than a Pepsi if I was having like a whiskey and Coke, or if I was having something like that. I think a Coke is a better mixer, maybe because it's not as sweet.
Maybe so. Like, who says, "Oh, I want a rum and Pepsi," like, or a Jack and Pepsi? Nobody says that. Jack and Coke, rum and Coke.
Or maybe you should just drink your alcohol straight like a man.
Oh, wow! Ryan calling
Shots
out
fired.
somebody. I'm not sure who.
I had my last
Shots
eggnog
fired.
and whiskey
Wait,
yesterday.
maybe.
It was a little sad. I'm not gonna lie, but yes, all right, fine. I'm gonna get drunk
Shaking
next
my
episode
head.
and tell you off, even though I won't be coherent. I'll be like, listen, this is whiskey.
You're a Coke.
Yeah,
You're a Coke.
your mom's a Pepsi. Stuff like that. Yeah.
We were thinking of
Anyway.
a different title for today, but that's actually pretty funny. Your mom's a Pepsi. I'm
mom's
gonna
a
write that
Pepsi.
down.
Your mom's a Pepsi.
That
Your
needs to be a
mom's
bingo square from now on. We need to tell Andrew. Ryan says I'm going to write that down.
Right,
Yeah.
there you
It does
go.
come up
that
almost every
happens
week.
enough.
He's actually usually pretty proactive with it, and on top of it, shout out to Andrew. So we'll see. But anyway, yes, I think that. Do we need to say anything else on that, or did we answer that question?
No, I think
thoroughly?
that's good.
I think we nailed it.
I think we're good with that one. Thank you,
Thank you,
Sean.
Sean.
We're curious about what your answer is. I'm sure Clint will reach out. Same with Kelly. Thank you, Kelly, for the question. I'm sure
Guys,
Clint has
I gotta tell you
reached out.
something. We've
Yeah.
already answered that question from Kelly.
Have we?
We did it in episode 52, so we revisited it about
Well, I mean,
happy
I think
later.
it appropriate. Before we
Yeah,
move
it's
on, though,
an
Nate, I do
appropriate
want to
update.
say like huge shouts out to Sean, because he's had some internet issues for months and months and months on end. Like, he came over on the transition from Mixer to Twitch, and I think like about a month in, he started having these connectivity issues. So he has not been on anybody's stream, but he's still always just uber supportive of everybody in the community, and I miss that man tremendously. I look forward to hopefully his internet being back to normal, if that's really a thing to say that kind of stuff these days. But I do miss Sean, and thank you, Bud, for the question. We all miss you.
Yes, sir. And that was a recent question too, so absolutely agree.
Sweet. So yeah, keep asking us questions with the hashtag #AskTheDorksman. We might answer them twice. We might answer them 3 times. But we always love answering them. We love interacting with you guys. So about half an hour into today's episode, we're actually going to finally be on topic. So what we wanted to do today was just do a quick recap and kind of a look back at 2020. We know 2020 was kind of a mess, but there were definitely some positives, if we can find some, to come out of the year. I mean, we've all adjusted the way we lived. I'm sure there's lots of shows we watched, lots of movies and TV shows, and just things we've enjoyed throughout the year. So we just want to focus on kind of some positives that came from the year. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. Joey, you want to kick us off? Anything off the top of your head?
2 things that you alluded to. First, it did give me a chance to get caught up on a lot of TV shows that I had wanted to watch, and some movies that I had to watch and all that stuff. But that was very early on in quarantine, and then after a certain point, I got bored. So for most of you, I'm a school teacher, so like quarantine hit like mid-March, so we canceled the rest of the school year where I'm at, and I was just at home until the very last week of school, when we would have normally gone back the week before Memorial Day. The teachers had to go back to get some stuff taken care of and kind of wrap up end of the year things. And then we had to let the kids kind of come in waves to get their lockers cleared out, all that kind of stuff. And then I was back off again for the rest of the summer. So I guess what I'm getting to for the next part is like I actually became more appreciative of the time I do spend at work because I know a lot of us, not necessarily that we dislike or don't like our jobs or hate our jobs, but we get to the point I think where we like just don't appreciate the fact that we are employed and that we do have a steady income. And now luckily I didn't have any issues with that, but like it made me realize and grateful for the fact that I do have a steady income. I have a steady career that pays the bills, whereas a lot of people that got hit at the beginning of quarantine just went unemployed and have stayed unemployed. So I was definitely grateful for the fact that I had a job that, I kept my job, I kept my pay, I didn't really miss a beat when it comes to any of that stuff. So I was definitely grateful for that, and I was also grateful for the time that I actually do spend at work. It's difficult sometimes being a teacher and a coach. It's not as rewarding as I think I would like it to be, but there are those moments where if I was teaching virtually, I don't think I would have those in person moments where a kid finally gets something, or they're appreciative of something you do, or something for team you're coaching, they finally get something to play or whatever. So I definitely am an appreciative for my job more than I think I was before all this hit.
All right. I don't know how we're gonna follow that up, but all right. I'm gonna go a little more superficial real quick. I think the most obvious thing that a lot of people are thankful for in 2020 is The Mandalorian that we talked about last week. It's nice that we had some new content come out in 2020, and I think this is the show of 2020, hands down. Just because it gave people something to talk about, people to interact with, people to look forward to. And I got to go that route. It was something positive that happened in 2020 off the top of my head.
Queen's Gambit might argue with you about the best show.
I haven't seen that yet, but I've only heard good things, so I wouldn't be shocked about that.
Yeah.
I think it's the first season of Queen Gambit, right?
It may, and maybe the only. So for those that don't know, it's actually based on a very older book. Like the movie takes place in the 50s, I want to say.
Looks all right.
Yeah, and so I think the book is written around that same time frame. And they've tried to get it off the ground several times before in one form, fashion, or another. And so the one season, it was looked to be a limited series. Like that's it. It told the entire book story. So now the issue would be when something's that popular, of course they want to continue to milk it. I mean, look at Mandalorian. It's got several seasons coming plus 3 spinoffs that we talked about on last week's episode. So the problem becomes, okay, so if you have a second season, you have no other source material unless the author of that book happened to have some, like outlines for maybe a second novel that he just never published or whatever. And I don't know if there is that or not, but then you run into that problem. Okay, so you've done a very good job this first season. It's a very well-loved series. It's based on source material. Now you want to try to milk the cow further, and now you're going to be just kind of running with it. So I don't know if there is a second season. I'm kind of leery about what that's going to look like, since there's you better get a awfully good writer to come on to that show to kind of take that, because your source material is material that's already been used and it's already been told. So now you're going to have to spin a tale from that into something new, and I just don't know if it'll work. But
Gotcha. What if the author was involved as a screenwriter? Would you feel better about that?
I would think that would be awesome, because I'm pretty sure he's dead. So if he could somehow, through a Ouija board, communicate a script, that would be phenomenal. I'm going to look this up now.
Okay. Yeah, right. I want to know if this is the case. I'm in for that. Sorry, I was not aware. Oh, I got you now, though. I'm with you. Anyway, very good. How about you guys? Something positive in 2020?
How are you, Ryan?
No, I'm trying to think of how to say this sentence without make it too focused, or make it sound too selfish in a sense. But I'm thankful for the opportunity to take time for personal growth, and I mean that in the way that what started off as us trying to give our group of friends an opportunity to kind of hang out and shoot the shit has morphed into me streaming and our group streaming on Fridays and Tuesdays and everything else. But it's morphed the way that I think about a lot of different things, and I've kind of dove down the rabbit hole of learning graphic design, which I have no background in, no formal training, but I've read a lot of stuff online, and I don't like to read, let me also say, but I've read a lot of tutorials, looked at a lot of YouTube videos about how to do all these things, and I have all these brainy ideas that I think, okay, can I replicate this? And that's what takes up a lot of my time, aside from the
Look,
fact that work. So.
I'm gonna toot your horn for a minute. I'm sorry, I thought you were finished talking. I'm gonna toot your horn for a minute.
He had to interrupt you to toot your horn.
You, for those of you that don't know, most of our logo, first of all, was designed by the fabulous Julie Grimes. And then she did our logos that were varying from episode to episode for the longest time. And then she went back off to college. And so she kind of ran out of time to be able to do that for us. And Ryan took over. And just the progress you've shown from the first ones you did to the last few you've done, like the one you did for the Mandalorian episode with our name and, modeling it after, their series logo was phenomenal. I mean, so just the progress you've made. So just, hats off to you. I already took my hat off earlier in the episode. So there you go. I already knew ahead of time, to prepare for hats off to you, sir, for that. So just a little clap.
Here, yes, golf clap.
Thank you. You did a very good job with that, Ryan, and you continue
and only get better.
Good job,
I mean, you're not done, which is great. We do appreciate it. We know it's a lot of time and effort, but it's showing. Your progress is obvious and ultimate. I guess I'll say it's very good, and you have. And the nice thing about it, I even to toot your horn even more, is you'll share it. I love when I don't get to watch your streams as much as I'd like, or anybody's stream for that matter, but I do know you're on there working. You've worked. I can't even name everybody you've done stuff for, but you've done it live to show how it's done, and then you've given it to them free of charge, and that definitely needs to be acknowledged and appreciated more than it is now. So, your
I'm
work
just trying to make other people's stuff look better, and I'm not saying they need to do it my way or use my stuff, but if people come to me and they ask questions, I'm in the mindset that knowledge is only powerful if you share it, and it goes back to saying like family stories and your legacy. Your grandfather told you stories, or your grandparents told you stories about what happened to them in their life, and it's not something that they ever wrote down in a memoir. They just verbally told it to you. That's kind of like what happened in history, and that's how we are with a lot of these things. I guess that's the mindset that I take with a lot of this stuff is, if I know something, it's only going to be powerful for the rest of the world if I'm able to, pass that on to somebody else, and hopefully they can do the same thing for like 10 other people. I mean, I'm making it sound like a pyramid scheme right now, to be completely honest, but
the graphic design pyramid scheme.
It's not even just about graphic design.
I'm not buying any of your widgets, sir.
That's the thing.
It's just about embracing your creative bug. And I'm also that kind of person. And, we've spoken about this Hawaiian slang word before, but pake, which basically means being cheap. But the negative connotation is it often comes from Chinese people. Sorry, Nate. Not meaning to stick it to you. It's just the local slang out here in Hawaii. But I'm kind of pake in that mindset because I figure, why am I going to pay somebody $50 when I could probably waste a lot of my time, which, time is more valuable than money. But I want to try and see if I'm able to do it on my own. And if I am, I can empower the next person to do it on their own as well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, that's the thought process that I've had, and I've tried to really instill that in other people, and I'm glad to see that others in the community have really tried hard. Like, hats off seriously to Tamer, because I kind of showed him a few things, but he's ran in his completely own direction, and it's reciprocated. He's taught me a thing or two, and that's how it should be.
Right.
Yeah.
Was it Tamer or Bat Tam that taught you? I just need to know which.
Can we not acknowledge Bat Tam? That's just
Bat Tam is awesome. I don't know what you're talking about. Bat Tam is fantastic. He's not the hero we deserve. He's the hero we need.
God. Before we move on, I just have to say, the time that Bat Tam was reading an excerpt from 50 Shades of Grey, I was about ready to vomit 10 times over. It was disturbing, but I do have it clipped, and Tamer hates me for that. Because I told him, if you ever dick me over, I'm going to release this publicly. Sounds like a political stunt, right?
It totally sounds like a political stunt, especially with the news today of recorded phone calls. So anyway, yes, we'll quit tooting your horn now, Ryan, but good work.
Thank you.
Keep it up. And thank you
Well
for
done, Ryan.
keeping me entertaining. It was funny. Sully apologized the other day. He's like, I can't make the stream. Sorry, guys. And it's like, you're apologizing for giving us free entertainment? You asshole. Like,
How
what am I going
dare
to do?
you?
Right. I mean,
How dare you provide us?
Oh,
with
that was
free-
yesterday morning because Twitch was drunk.
Twitch was drunk. Yeah, Twitch was drunk a couple days, but it's when everybody's on it now. It's not surprising. But there are just to play off that a little bit, there are so many streamers now because of the situation. But it's really worked well to find different interests. There's art streams like Slow. There's Lego builds. There's game nights. There's plenty of video games. There's people sleeping. I was watching one the other day of somebody cooking. I know we've talked on this podcast about people watching people sleep. There's
It's
communities that build
disturbing.
around all of this. Yeah,
Still
it's
don't see
disturbing,
how
but
that's not a violation of the TOS to be doing that.
I think
It
as long as they don't tag their stream as, I think the way the tagging works, as long as you don't tag it as a game or an activity or something, it's just like you're
chatting and
streaming.
hanging out. Or
IRL.
whatever.
Yeah, so you're not just chatting because you're not chatting. So it's literally just, it's literally you sleeping. So
Just sleeping.
Can you put
just
just nothing? Nothing is happening here.
nothing is happening. There was a brief time where like eating streams were super popular. So there would just be like one of
mukbang.
the most watched category is just people eating.
I don't get
Well,
that.
I mean, I've seen people like doing crafts. Like Priscilla gets on there and does her art, which is always fun to watch her do, especially those cards that come from the ideas in the stream and then she draws them are so cool. I mentioned Slow earlier. Barely Jason when he was doing his art. I still love his bear doing ballet, which of course is the bear in the little car at the circus. And so many other things. So it's nice that people are using their creativity and sharing it and building community around it, us included. I mean, we do it with our streams and everything else, and that we've been able to stay in touch despite the fact that we've been stuck either at home or just we can't go play. We could go places, we're just not assholes and don't, I guess I should say. But that streaming by itself has definitely been a positive of 2020.
Agreed.
I took a long-winded way to say that, but yes. Nate, you got anything you want to add to the pot while we're talking about positives of 2020?
I mean, besides some pretty awesome shows and movies I watched, I think, like Joey, I think one of the things for me is like I've realized how much I miss. I took for granted that going to the office and going to be normal and having a schedule of getting up, getting on the train, grabbing my coffee, saying good morning to my coworkers, hanging out with them, having lunch with them, the Friday night drinks, like just things like that we were just doing kind of I would say it was almost like a mundane, repetitive cycle. But then realizing now that it's going to be like almost probably close to 2 years that we're not going to get to do this and not have this kind of cycle it makes me realize that you can't really take anything for granted that you have and that you do. And I think one of those things that I'm really just kind of leads into them really proud of and really happy of is just what we've done, the four of us, over this past year. 76 episodes is ridiculous. Like I didn't think this was obviously knew we were going to keep doing this, but just to hit that number and to see that number go up every week is just something that it's crazy to me because it's just something that we on a whim we just thought that we'd create this random idea for a podcast and
about pineapples.
About pineapples.
A pineapple pie. Damn, we get pickly pineapple contest.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
I do. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, kudos to you guys. We have not missed a week. That is impressive with everything going on, with two of us that have kids, with all four of us having pretty demanding jobs at times. You guys more than me. It's impressive that we've kept this up on a week-to-week basis. Despite,
not to mention, I got married last year too, right? And we still managed to get an episode out on time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's impressive, and we're not the only ones. And that actually is kind of a negative in the sense of podcasts. Is the listening has just gone down everywhere because you're not riding the train to work, you're not in the car going to work, you're not. I used to listen at work because I didn't want to listen to my coworkers. So it all depends, and I know that's happened. I know it's everybody, but big shout out to all the content creators who not only keep going but have adjusted. I mean, like Geek Together and STS guys, Talking Pops, Nerdy Curious, those people have all started doing it, all, doing the recordings on Twitch to interact with people, taking advantage of the technology and finding new solutions to really make their podcast what they want. And we've done that some too. It just, we don't do it all the time, but that's because we have other things going on. But it's really impressive that even though the podcast listening is down, the podcast community thrives on.
Yeah. Just a side note from our discussion earlier about Queen's Gambit.
Yes.
Queen's Gambit was written by Walter Tevis, who died in 1984. Also, did not know this, but it's the same guy that wrote the books that The Man Who Fell to Earth, The Color of Money, and The Hustler were based off of.
Wow.
Did not know that.
I did not
Writing
know
about
that.
pool and chess. Interesting fella there.
Both games I suck at. So
What about snooker?
Snooker? I don't know what snooker is. What's
Snooker's like a pool, but on a bigger table.
On a bigger table.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I think it have the bumpers in the middle of the table too, Ryan. I'm trying to remember if that's the snooker table.
I don't know.
or
I was
not.
trying to be a complete wise ass and just you guys are
Oh,
making
good
it overly
job.
technical. So there you go.
I actually want to know what snooker is now because I'm actually broadcasting on a bumper pool table right now. So,
You know what you can
snooker
actually
is-
do is you can Google it if you don't know what snooker is. So there you go.
Snooker's-
no.
it's a
Snooker's
bigger
the one with the
table.
red balls.
It's got the red balls, the colored balls, and you're just trying to get the highest score possible. And what you have to hit you got to go red ball, color ball until all the red balls are gone, and then the color balls go in a specific color order that you have to hit.
okay.
It's much more technical than I find it much more technical than 8-ball or 9-ball.
The table is bigger too, isn't it? It's not.
It is much bigger.
Okay.
Yeah. The table's bigger. The balls are smaller, I believe, a little bit smaller.
Really?
Yeah.
Are the pockets the same size?
They're smaller, actually.
The balls are
Okay.
smaller.
The balls are smaller.
Look at him trying to find another title for the episode.
No, I just thought it was
What
funny.
is
I
it called again?
snickered.
Snooker?
I
Snooker.
snickered at snooker.
Snooker. Snooker.
SNOOKER. Snooker.
I did it all for the snooker. Yeah, the snooker. Yeah, okay. Fantastic. All right. Well, I learned something new today. That's always great. 2020, I do have to do a little video game talk about. I know PlayStation and Xbox came out with new systems, even though the games haven't really been abundant yet. But you know what sticks out to me for 2020 for video games? Anybody?
The Switch.
Fall Guys.
Is your
Well, it's on-
Nintendo guy?
The game I'm thinking about is on the Switch. Nate might be playing it for right now for all I know.
Animal
but I'm-
Crossing.
Animal Crossing, yes.
It's not a
I
new
still-
game.
Well, the game, the one game came out in March. The edition.
I
that
know,
is
but
on
I
the
mean,
Switch-
Animal Crossing as a game. This one aside,
it's,
New
Oh,
Horizons,
right.
right? That's the one that everybody's playing now.
The
on
latest
Switch.
iteration.
But Animal Crossing's
well-
not a new game. I mean, I'm not a big Nintendo guy, but I knew that one.
Yeah. Right, but I mean, it's like like a new version of The Sims or something like that. But the thing is, the crazy thing about it is when it came out. It came out like the week after, we were actually in an official pandemic, and I'm like, I still think Nintendo had something to do with it. Because I mean, from basically March until June, that was the thing. Everybody played Animal Crossing all the time. I mean, even the streams, even Sully's stream was spent 2 hours on Animal Crossing, even though, as Ryan said, it's not like a game. You're watching some guy water a garden and build a bridge and fish and buy stuff. It's not the most exciting, but
And dig a hole and put money in it. Although Sully hated when I called it the coin hole.
right?
Coin hole.
But that's
We
kind of
need-
the thing. It was crazy. Go on.
We need
Joanne,
an
sorry.
Animal Crossing Cyberpunk crossover game.
Yes.
Oh my!
I wouldn't argue that. That'd be Animal Punk 77. We'll see how it works out. But anyway, you're thinking about 2020, and that is the game that really sticks out to me. That again, from March. I mean, that's why there were a lot. That's why you couldn't find a Switch in the store because people were buying them to play Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
It's true.
And I mean, shout out to those people that put some major time into their places, made them look real nice, and bought all this stuff. And those that are still playing. I don't know if Nate's still getting hustled for $1 million every week, but from his wife. But I know Gary is still playing it. Our friend Mark is still playing it. They're still there, and they're still updating it. They had a countdown for the New Year's Eve stuff, and they have a whole winter extension. So it's just crazy that game is kind of the game of 2020 in comparison to some of the other games you would expect to hear. That's all. it's positive. People liked it. I have it. I haven't played it in months, but you know, it's there.
I haven't visited my island in months.
What's
been
funny
months.
and funny is what's funny if you go back now, like you'll have like ants or you'll have
Oh,
bugs
yeah,
in
yeah.
your house or in your
Yeah.
tent or wherever you are. So they try to rub it in that, hey, asshole, you weren't playing this. We're gonna make it messier, docile. But
It's
anyway,
like the Tamagotchi. If you don't take care of it, it poops
yeah,
itself
exactly.
and eventually it dies.
Thank God they don't have to go to the bathroom.
So now that 2021 has started, what is everybody most looking forward to about 2021? Besides, obviously, we're all going to say, you know, a new year, a fresh start,
Sure,
you know,
sure.
into the. But besides that, like, what have you seen coming up on the 2021 horizon that you're most excited about? I'll start. I'll start with video games. I've seen a few advertised on a stream. I think it was on IGN. I was watching the other day, and it was talking about the most anticipated games for 2021. And there's a couple that are on the list that I'm really excited about. There's one coming out called Chorus. And I've been looking for the longest time for a good space fighter game, kind of like Star Fox, for lack of a better comparison.
Like-
and there's one coming out that's like that, but it also seems like it's also got some Mass Effect type elements to it. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. It is coming out on PS4. I just hope it's not like Cyberpunk, where it's not going to really be optimized for that. And then there's another one. I'm always looking for a good couch co-op 2-player game, and there's one coming out called It Takes Two that seems really interesting. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to, is maybe getting back into some video games in 2021, where I was focusing mainly on binging TV shows and movies that I hadn't seen and all that stuff. I'm looking forward to maybe getting back into some video games this year.
Sure. Well, we'd love to hear your streaming so we could hear you yell no.
I don't know. I don't know about all that.
Fair enough. But
What
yeah,
about you, Clinton?
To be honest, I have not been looking forward. Not that I haven't been paying any attention, I guess I should say, to what's coming out in 2021 on Nintendo kind of stuff. So I am at I'm no help in this area, but I'm sure there's something I want.
Well, just anything. It doesn't have to be video games. Just
Yeah,
what are you looking forward to that you've seen that's coming in 2021?
So I know we talked at length about cons and going back to cons and whatever, but I'm optimistic. I don't know when, but movie theaters will be back to being movie theaters again. I'm missing a movie in a movie theater, and I know that right now Scarlet Witch is still planned for May. I can't remember the
You mean
seven.
Scarlet Witch.
Black Widow.
What did I say?
Widow.
You said Scarlet Witch.
My bad. Yes.
Are none of your movie theaters doing the option where for like $100 you can rent out the whole movie
I
theater?
think it's like 150 if I remember right from here. What I remember hearing. Yes, they have done that. Yes, that is definitely an option. But regardless, so excuse me, you're right. Black Widow, Scarlet Witch comes out this month on TV, so I'm looking forward to that.
January 15th.
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully that'll be good. But I was actually getting back to, I want to go back to movie theaters, and the example I was giving is last night. My wife had Mulan on, the live action one, which we've talked about on here. And I came down and sat down, and it was nice to watch it, but we had to constantly adjust the volume because Ava was sleeping in the next room, and I had to get up to let the dog out, and I think she had to get up to do something. And I missed the fact of sitting in a movie theater and just being involved in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You just cannot. I mean, you could have all the surround sound you want. You can have you can have the best setup in the world, and it still is not the same as going to a movie theater and watching a movie. So I it might be late in the year, but I think movie theaters are going to happen. I'm looking very forward to going back, even if it's going back and watching things I've seen before. I think movie theaters would be wise to play those movies again. I didn't get to see T2 in movie theaters originally. Put that back on. Why not? Right.
That's what our theater's been doing.
That's what they're doing now. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, when they're like people are going in regular matches, they'll have a shortage of movies. Put those back on. Shit, you know how many kids our age would love to go in and see some of the movies from the 80s and 90s and even the 2000s they didn't get to see in theaters?
You make a good point. I'm wondering because obviously Wonder Woman's been met with mixed reviews. I don't have a mixed opinion about it. I thought it was garbage. But my hot take of the day, mark that bingo square for yourselves. I'm wondering if it was released only in the movie theaters, and it's not pandemic, and people go out in mass like they had been doing prior to the pandemic. I'm wondering if it is still met with the same reviews. Like, some of those big blockbuster movies are meant to be enjoyed in a movie theater, on an IMAX screen, or with the Dolby 47.1 surround sound, whatever it is nowadays. You know what I'm saying? So I'm wondering if that's one of the reasons why it kind of fell flat a little bit, because it is one of those blockbuster movies. It was supposed to come out in the summer, I think, originally. I'm wondering if it would have been a little bit more well received if somebody would have went and seen it at the movie theater, because most of the reviews I've seen are from people that went and watched it on HBO Max.
Right. Yeah. I don't know anybody in the
theater. Yeah.
Right.
So
great point. I think you're right. You have to be right. I mean, like I said, it's an experience. You go to a movie, you're not going there just to see a movie, because, as you mentioned, you can watch it at home eventually. I mean, right now, a lot of them you can watch the day they come out of the movie theater, but it's an experience, just like a con is, just like, football game is, whatever. It's an experience, and I'm looking forward to those experiences again.
Yep. Good.
That's a good way to say it. Looking forward to experiences, no matter what.
Nate, did you ever see Wonder Woman? You did.
I did.
I haven't yet.
I haven't.
I need to.
It was
okay.
good.
So,
I don't have HBO Max.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything. I mean, it's garbage, but I don't want to spoil anything, so I didn't want to go any further about it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Ryan. You were saying something?
I was just saying that I think a good way to sum up all of our situations, and I'm not speaking for Nate because he's yet to go here, but for what you two said, I'm looking forward to experiences, no matter what that word describes in your life. Yeah. The experience of being able to actually shake your friend's hand, or hug your family, which I've not been able to actually physically interact with my parents ever since all of this happened, right? I'm looking forward to the experience of going out to eat with a friend, or the experience of going to a movie theater and watching a much anticipated film. All of those things. I mean, seriously, it's the experiences we have on a daily, weekly basis, monthly basis now are like walking around the block with Buddy every morning. The experience of walking to the mailbox, being outside for all of 5 to 10 minutes, or the experience of driving in your car to go get takeout food, or going to the grocery store. That's like the limit that we've been set to for the last 9 months. So the opportunity to kind of break outside of that box is going to be awesome once we're able to do that.
I do like not buying gas, but I'm just saying.
Hell yeah. 100%. I agree with you. I went like almost 3 months without filling up my tank, and that's like unheard of.
Right.
Even when I was catching the bus to work on a daily basis, I used to fill up my tank like once every 3 weeks, because I would be driving so much more. And I went to Best Buy so many times in the last 2 months that if I hadn't done that, because it's a good like 15 miles away from me, I probably would have gone like 4 months without filling in gas.
That's funny.
To Joey's point, though, I am looking forward to, like, on the video game side, Halo is yet to come out. I know Sully's very excited for that, so I'm looking forward to that portion. I play a lot of Call of Duty, so I'm looking forward to the new Zombies map. I've been playing a lot of Zombies recently. I don't know too much about what else is coming out as far as video games for the rest of the year, even though we're only, 3 days into it now. I'd have to look into it.
I think a lot's going to change, like release date wise, like for a lot of the things that we do enjoy. Like, I mean, a lot's changed already in 2020. A lot of games got delayed. A lot of movies got delayed. But I think as we, as companies start to realize that they're a lot more agile than they thought, I think we'll start seeing more creative ways for them to release content. And like movie wise for me, I'm super looking forward to Black Widow. Like I really was curious about kind of ever since Joey made that comment about, was that Natasha sitting in the background in the trailer, I was like, well shit, I need to know what's gonna happen. Like, is she alive? Is she dead? Like, is where's this timeline? Where does she fit into it? And being a big Marvel fan, like that's something I'm super excited for. Really looking forward to that. But yeah, video game wise, I really don't know. Like I just took a quick look at Wikipedia, my favorite website in the world.
Yep.
And there's just honestly, there's a lot coming out in 2021, but there's nothing that's like strikes me as like I'm gonna mark that on my calendar as something that I'm I'm super looking forward to.
Right.
Other than I guess Scott Pilgrim, January 14th.
Oh yes.
January
That's
14th.
a re-release though, isn't it? It's not
Yes,
even
that is a re-release.
Yeah.
So the complete edition is coming back out.
When are they
so-
releasing it on Steam?
No, it's on. I think.
It'll be on PC, PS4, Xbox,
Oh,
everything, or
That's
PlayStation,
Is
Xbox,
it,
Stadia.
is it on Switch?
Yes, Switch as well.
Excellent, 'cause I know it wasn't on Nintendo originally. That's why I'm happy to hear
Yeah.
that.
Clint's like,
When-
yeah, Switch. All right, we're getting
I can
some.
play it.
God's
Ooh,
Clint is
Mario.
thankful.
That's right.
Oh, there's a new Mario coming out too. I saw.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, I
Saw that on the video too. I forgot what it's called.
Super
now.
Mario 3D World.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Oh, that's
and
it's
Bowser's
a
Fury.
Wii U game that they made into a Switch game. That's why I wasn't thinking about it. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Gotcha.
It'll be fun.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Overwatch 2.
Oh, see, that'll be a bit. I think that we'll start getting hyped as things get closer. Dates solidify.
Yeah, exactly.
I had to go to Wikipedia, a little off topic. The Bob's Burgers movie's still planning to come out this year.
Yep,
Oh, nice.
McGuire was telling me about that the other day, April or May, something like that.
April 9th, yeah. So something that's flying under the radar a little bit, but I would love to get.
Oh, I forgot to bring this upstairs. I'll bring it up for next week's episode. But one of my stocking stuffers, my wife got me a Bob's Burgers quote thing. It's like a burger. You hit it, and it says a quote from the show. Like,
Oh
Bob's
yeah, I've
Burgers.
seen this.
It's great. I forgot to bring it upstairs today, but I'll bring it up. Maybe I'll bring it up on game night. You guys can see it on Friday.
Nice.
There you go.
But yeah, like to Ryan's point, I think that's one thing that we all should kind of look forward to for 2021 is just new experiences and getting back to those old experiences that we missed so much in 2020. But it's going to happen eventually, but just got to have hope that it's going to happen sooner than later. But just reminding everyone to just keep positive about it, because you made it this far.
Yes.
Don't fuck it up for yourself now, because you've come so far, and
Right.
this is a we're there's light at the end of the tunnel, I think.
There's
At
an
least-
actual freaking light right now.
Yeah.
So, you can see it. There's something to aim for. Let's do it.
People are going to need social therapy after all of this pandemic stuff is over. I mean, in the reality that we're living in right now, we don't get to interact physically with very many people outside of like our immediate bubble. So, I mean, like,
Mhm.
seriously, social therapy, I'm going to coin that term. That's my thing. People can call it whatever they want, but I mean,
Are you
like,
gonna be a social therapist?
that's the way I'm thinking about it right now.
You're
is-
trademarking that.
Yeah. We're going to have to
Nice.
like seriously go through that, because I mean, look at the social gamut, right? Some people are okay being at home. Like for me, I'm okay kind of being a hermit. I don't mind it. Other people, like I told my wife, do we have any friends that are single that, may fall into that rut and that bucket where they're heavily depressed because they can't see anybody, nobody can
Mhm.
actually be there, and like, because like for all of us, we're married, so our
Mhm.
other half is there with us. But I really worry about some of my friends and like some of her
Sure.
friends that are single. They can't go see their parents. They don't have anybody there with them on a daily basis. They may not even have an animal to talk. Because I mean, really, for your personal sanity, it makes a huge difference. And
Mhm.
to rewind the clock a little bit and go back to what we were talking about earlier, the fact that a lot of us interact over social, and especially with me, I'm always on Twitch these days because like I'm always sitting at the computer, and that's like the easiest thing for me. It's a good way for me to physically, in a way, interact with people, because I can either see them or they can see me, and vice versa. But it's still a level of
Mhm.
social interaction where some other people don't have that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
agreed. So I mean, and that's what we say. Watch out for yourself because you need to, and don't be afraid to reach out for help. I'd rather listen to your story than not listen to you talk again. So
Yeah.
don't hesitate on that. And I do feel for a lot of people. I think all four of us have actually been pretty blessed during all this. That we have friends, we have our families, both extended and immediate. Nate has Banner, so that's always good. But
That's true.
but and so yeah, there's a light. We can get there. We're going to get there. Let us help you get there if you need it. Any of us individually or just somebody, because I mean, like I said, I'd rather have you there and listen to your story that I think is complete bullshit than not listen to you at all. So Anyway, I think we've gone pretty long. Joey, I'm going to axe your game tonight. I'm sure you had an amazing one created.
Oh, I did. Oh, and I think Ryan was going to win this one again.
No, sorry, Ryan, take that W away
screw
from
you,
you,
man.
Joey.
Screw you.
You know what? You know, one thing I'm appreciative of is Joey's games. It's even Nerd Unite Con had a very fun multi-series game from all of us in the final by Joey. That was well done.
That was the best. I think I peaked then. That was my crowning achievement was pulling that off, and how it came down to in the final was couldn't be scripted.
No, but we might have to try again. We'll see. We'll see what happens come July. But we'll get there.
Exactly. I'm hoping to do something in person. Like if we don't have San Diego, those of us that feel safe to travel and maybe have been vaccinated, we need to try to have our own FDO or nerds day out at some place. Maybe San Diego. Who knows? Maybe
so. Something to think about. Well, anyway, Nate, why don't you take us home?
Yeah. Thank you everyone for hanging out with us again this week. We hope you guys had a safe and happy New Year. I hope you guys had a good Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate over the break. I know a lot of you guys are back to work this week, and that sucks because nobody wants to go back to work. Everyone just wants to do nothing and have money come in, but unfortunately, that's not how it goes. So if you're going back to work this week, my thoughts and prayers are with you because I'm back to work this week as well.
You're paying. You're not alone.
Yeah. Awful. So this week, Ryan, you'll probably be streaming at some point, right? Monday, Tuesday.
We shall
Saturday.
see. Since this releases Monday, we'll see if I'm able to get on today because I was telling everybody in the pre-party. Start of the month, start of the quarter, start of the year, and to add to boot, my boss is off for the next week and a half, and I'm dealing with some really shithead, idiotic salespeople that have promised the world to their clients that is unrealistic.
Well, I hope they listen to the podcast.
I hope they do, because I want to tell them to go fuck off. In a professional setting, I can't say that, but I really wanted to tell them, get your head out of your ass, fuck off. That's not happening. But of course, we can't do that.
Ryan, I feel your pain, but
Angry Ryan to start off.
Angry Ryan.
Clint.
Does that make Joey Asian Joey or Asian? I don't know, superhero.
No, Asian Joey is a different person.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Sorry. I forgot what we just
so it's now going to be Angry Ryan and Asian Bruce Banner.
There you go. And we can't call Joey the Asian tall one because that just doesn't work.
He's Yao Ming, huh?
Right. Yeah.
It's only one guy that has that title.
Yeah, there's only one Asian tall guy, and that's Yao Ming.
Linsanity.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyways, Tuesday night, Clint, you'll be doing the Splatoons this week, right? With Sully.
With Sully and others. Come join us.
7 p.m., 7:30 p.m., something like that on Twitch. Sure. You'll see it on our Twitter. Yep. Friday, we're back to Dorksman Game Night, hosted by Ryan. 7 p.m. Pacific time on Friday. So make sure you come hang out with that. We'll be doing Jackbox as we always do. Always a good time. Honestly, we, as Clint mentioned earlier, it's one of those things that we started as a way to have people hang out and just an alternative to not doing anything together on Friday. And it's, become a very fun kind of a staple for our community, I feel like, for Friday nights. So please make sure to join us if you can. It's always a good time. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, _Dorksman. Thank you again for listening this week. Anything else from the fellas here?
No.
Nope.
Thank you guys for everything. Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year. And with that, that's my secret. I'm always angry.
That man is playing Minesweeper. He thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
We're homies.
Please no gang signs.